Hello, dear students. Today we are going to speak about the third function of management. Today we are speaking about motivating. I'm sharing my video, my presentation, sorry, with you. Okay, let's begin. So, in our previous lectures, we spoke about two first functions of management. We spoke about planning, and we spoke about motivating. And during the planning function, we have to answer to the questions: what is to be done, when it is to be done, and how it is to be done. So we have to define our objectives, and we have to define the ways how to attain these objectives. So totally the objectives and the ways how to attain, then we call it as the strategy of our company. And during organizing function, we discussed who is supposed to do it. So we discussed that every objective must be transformed or supported with at least one task. Usually there are several tasks, and some persons must be connected with, must be delegated with the task. And during motivating, we are going to answer to the question why the person, why this subordinate is supposed to complete this task. So generally, every manager must keep in mind that it's not like obligation that when a supervisor tells that something to be done to his or her subordinate, that it will be finally done. So it must be some incentive, positive or negative incentive. And today we are going to discuss these incentives. Usually it must be some rewards, but not only. Okay. So let's begin with the definition that motivating is the process of moving oneself and others to work towards attainment of individual and organizational objectives. From this definition, I'd like to stress that I mean, as a manager, as managers, we have to move not only others to work toward attainment of some objectives, but also oneself. And this process is also a part of motivating, but mostly during this lecture we will speak how to motivate subordinates, not the manager. Historically, motivating, the process of motivating was connected with offering economic rewards or simply some money. But what was very interesting, that it was discovered that money not not always get a person to work harder. And today we will discuss why it is so. Why it is so. We will begin with the earlier approaches to motivation. Generally, you have to understand that these old theories or old approaches are not working anymore in current conditions, but nevertheless, a manager should know it just to avoid some mistakes in interconnection with his or her subordinates. The first method of motivating, historically, the first was carrot and stick method of motivating. Generally, in Russian, it is метод кнута и пряника. In English, it is a carrot and stick method. So generally, it means that that we have provided some benefits, but we shouldn't forget about some negative incentive. And generally, why carrot and stick? Because there are two possible ways how to motivate donkey: with a carrot, to show a carrot to force it move, or to use some stick to cut his we call it as a fifth point of the body of the donkey to force it move. And generally, the word stimulation came from the old Latin word stimulus. The stimulus is a small stick to provide a negative incentive to horse or to a donkey, for example. And if speaking about ancient times, the biggest carrot at that time was just to keep somebody alive. So if we are keeping somebody alive, so it is like the best incentive. But now you have to understand that nowadays you have to provide some bigger positive incentive, certainly. If speaking about the times of Adam Smith, Adam Smith concluded that a person would always attempt to improve his economic condition when offered an opportunity to do so. But in that times, people really fought for 14 hours working day. And it was because it was the only possible way to keep alive, to feed families. But it was like a privilege. It was like a privilege to work at some enterprise within 14 hours per day. A little bit later, Winslow Taylor calculated the fair day's payment. So he, as you can remember from our previous lectures, so with Winslow Taylor Frederick Winslow Taylor, he first of all, he provided some technique. He discovered some techniques, and for every position, it was provided some instructions. And using these instructions, the person could increase the performance, and this usual performance, it was like if somebody managed to have this performance, he or she will have this fair salary. So it was the first attempt how to set the transparent ways of rewarding of subordinates. But generally, the general idea of Frederick Winslow Taylor was the same with Adam Smith. So if a worker if we provide the payment to a worker, so he or she would work hard to have this salary. But after several events, managers found that simple technique that we are offering the economic carrot, so bigger salary, would not always get people to work harder. And it is because people were not always rational. So we are not robots, but everybody has some special needs, and we are behaving to satisfy the needs and to satisfy it. In some conditions, we do not need the additional economic reward. And from the point of a manager, it is like that it's not the rational behavior that we are providing bigger economic reward, and the person doesn't want, I mean, the subordinate doesn't wish to work harder. It is because the person, this subordinate, has another need which couldn't be satisfied by money. And the first evidence of such behavior was discovered by Elton Mayor when he was invited to solve a very unpleasant situation at some spinning shop in a textile company. In some department, the labor turnover reached 250%. It is too much. General normal labor turnover is somewhere in between 5 and 6%. It is generally normal because, you know, the somebody wishes to leave this city and move to another city. Some lady becomes pregnant. Maybe somebody finds that he or she is too old to work so hard, or maybe somebody dies. And approximately, if it is in between 4 and 5 or maybe 6%, it is normal. It's not possible situation that it is zero. Usually it is something more zero, I mean labor turnover. But you know that when it is 250%, it means that we have to pay a lot of time, and we will have some additional costs to prepare workers to work for our company, because it is not possible usually to find the perfect personnel at labor market which can be used without some practice, some training before working. And Elton Mayor was invited to solve this situation after the managers tried to use the financial incentive. They tried to increase salary, and according to previous ideas of previous managers, it should work, but not. People still wanted to quit the organization, even if the salary was bigger. And Elton Mayor found that the problem was that people didn't have the possibility to communicate because the equipment was rather noisy. And he decided to provide 2 10-minute rest periods for spinners to communicate with other workers and etc. And it was like a miracle that the situation with labor turnover became to the average labor turnover of the company. So it was the evidence, the clear evidence of the fact that the ideas of Elton Mayor was correct. And later, the ideas of Mayor was also proven by the fact that the next manager decided to do away with the breaks. Because it was the big surprising situation for him that why we should do this 2 10-minute break. And the situation became to the previous state. So it was the first evidence of the situation that people was motivated not with economic reward, but with some social reward. And later, the ideas of Elton Mayor was used by Abraham Maslow. We'll speak about it in several minutes. But general idea of Elton Mayor was that a manager should take into account the psychology of the worker. And without it, it's not possible to choose the good the good approach of motivating. Today, we are going to discuss two types of theories, the content theories and the process theories. The biggest difference between these two types of theories is in the fact that content theories, historically the first, analyzed only valuability of a reward. So theories, and these theories are connected, these theories of Abraham Maslow, David McClelland, and Frederick Herzberg. We will discuss these three theories. Actually, it was more theories, but within our lectures, we are going to discuss these very three theories. Okay, so these economists, these managers, scientists, they analyzed only valuability. So what should we provide to a worker to motivate him or her to work harder? Or in other words, to attain objectives of our organizations. But later, some other scientists, in the field of management, Vroom, for example, okay, we will discuss it a little bit later. They realized that we have to analyze not only valuability of the reward, but some other very important facts. And what is laying under the words other facts, we are going to discuss taken as an example expectancy theory and equity theory. So during today's lecture, we are going to discuss three older theories, content theories, theory created by Abraham Maslow, David McClelland, and Frederick Herzberg, and two process theories, expectancy theory and equity theory. But before discussing the theories, we are going to discuss the common points within all theories of motivating. So any theory says that we have to provide some reward because a worker has his or her own needs. And okay, nobody goes to his or her working place with ideas. Okay, I'm going today to my working place to help to get the bigger profit to my company. I will work harder just to help my supervisor to attain all objectives and etc. In some cases, some workers do have such ideas, but only if they feel strong correlations between their needs and the objectives of the organization. But generally everybody comes to his or her working place with ideas. Okay, I need more money because I don't know, I have some problems. I have to repair my computer, or I have to buy. Okay, I have my child is bigger, and it's not possible to take some sneakers from previous year. I have to buy the new one, so I need some money. Or maybe last year I visited Europe during my vacation, and this year I think it is a good idea to visit Thailand or something like that. And a manager should should provide the appropriate reward for everybody. And in this point, all the theories are similar. So that we have to provide something for our workers. But if speaking about different theories, we are we are analyzing this problem from different points. But before speaking about differences, I'm coming back. We have to describe what is similar. And similar and fundamental to both are the terms of needs and rewards. So everybody has some needs, and managers provide some rewards to help workers to satisfy the needs. And to understand all the theories, we have to discuss these terms, rewards and needs. Let's begin with needs. So generally, the need is a deficiency of something. So when I'm thirsty, it is a deficiency of water, for example. And according to modern view, we are dividing all the needs into two types, into primary needs and secondary needs. Primary needs are physiological in nature and they are inborn. What does it mean inborn? Okay, let's begin with the examples. For example, need of food. If the person is hungry, it is a physiological deficiency of some food, then the person is hungry. And what does it mean it is inborn? When a baby is born, he or she already knows what does it mean to be hungry. He or she is crying. It means, mother, feed me, I want milk. He or she doesn't know how to call, but the baby feels this deficiency. It's like some inconvenience for him or for her, and nobody tells the baby what does it mean to be hungry. After born, he or she already knows what does it mean. Or maybe if it is colder than the comfortable temperature, something like this. And in opposite to primary needs, the secondary needs are psychological in nature. So they usually are learned through the experience. To have something, to want something, we have to understand that the existence of these something. For example, if we want to have our vacations, if we want to spend our vacations in Thailand, we at least have to know about that. There is a country. It is possible to have a rest and swim in the ocean, even when in Ukraine it is in Ukraine it is winter, so we have ice and snow, and in Thailand it is like summer all the year. So we have to gather some information, and after analyzing this information, we will feel this deficiency. It means that we do want something. And usually it is rather difficult to measure the needs of the people. It means that, okay, if there is a baby, it is possible, then he or she is sleeping, everything is okay. He is not hungry, not thirsty, it is normal temperature. But if speaking about adults, generally it is possible to ask somebody about some need, or to observe, or um, to analyze the behavior, And when we are watching at the person, we can understand that this person does have this very need. And generally, the need can be satisfied, partly satisfied, or not satisfied. And the idea of the management as a science, and actually firstly, I wanted to say for modern management, but it will not be truth. I think it is better to say for management for all times, that we have to provide something to this worker to help him or her to satisfy their needs. And in this process, the worker will push our organization toward our objectives. Maybe it is a little bit bad humor to use these pictures here, but when I use this picture, the squirrel in the circle, I tried to explain the approaches to motivating, that we are providing something. The person wants this something, and this worker, acting in some way, and he helps our organization to attain the objectives. So the general picture of the needs and motivation behavior is following. So we have to understand the needs, the deficiency of something. Then we have to understand that it will really drive the person to act in some way, to some behavior, and we have to analyze that was the need satisfied or not, and why it is so that if the need was satisfied, the person, the worker, will behave in the same way. But there are a lot of needs among people. In last lectures, we spoke about contingency approach. It means that there is no best way to do something in management. Everything depends on situation, and the same is here. So there is no the best reward. Somebody is thinking about money. Somebody is thinking about some status. Somebody is thinking about social communication at the working place. And the manager should take the reward only for some person. some particular person. And there is no one best way to motivate. The second basic term is a reward. A reward is anything individual perceives as valuable. So it's like prize, benefit. It could be money, it could be promotion, it could be, okay, we will speak about different kinds of motivating, but generally, there are a lot of types of reward. Okay. And generally, we can divide all rewards, all valuable, into two very important types, into intrinsic rewards and into extrinsic reward. An intrinsic reward is obtained through the work itself. Please look at this picture in the left corner of the screen. So there are two boys, and the boy in the yellow t-shirt, he is thinking about some prize. So he is thinking like this. Okay, I'm playing this football, and I want to win this game, and I want to win this prize. But in opposite, this boy in in a white t-shirt, sorry, he is thinking like this. Okay, I like playing football, and that's all. I do it for my pleasure. And generally, there are two possible ways to motivate people and an extrinsic reward is something attained from some prize provided by the manager after the successful completion of the task. So it is something from external environment, not external organization, but externally of the working process. At this picture, I wanted to show you that it is possible to motivate a person with the help of both type of rewards, intrinsic and extrinsic. For example, if somebody likes communicating and we are delegating some task connected with communicating, so this person likes the process and it is some part of the reward. For example, it is like the type of intrinsic reward, and extrinsic reward is something to be provided by a manager after the successful achievement of the objective. It could be promotion, it could be some bonuses, some prizes, and etc. etc. And keeping in mind all these information about needs and about rewards, it is possible to discuss the theories of motivating, and let's begin with historically the first theories of motivating, content theories of motivating. I stress it one more time that the common, the same thing among all these theories is the fact that every scientist, Maslow, Herzberg, and McClelland, they analyzed needs and they thought about the reward, how to satisfy the needs of the workers in the best way. Historically, the first was the theory of Abraham Maslow. He decided to divide all the needs into 5 categories and into 2 levels. These needs are physiological needs, safety and security needs, social needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. And he not only provided the definition of the needs, but he managed to create this pyramid with well-known pyramid hierarchy of the needs. And he situated the needs in this order. And he said that usually, I'm stressing not always, but usually, people are thinking about satisfying their needs in the following order. Firstly, we have to satisfy our physiological need. Then we have to satisfy the safety and security needs. It means that we are, it is close to physiological, but it is little bit wider. It means that we want to satisfy our needs not only now, but also in future, and not only for us, but also for people who are connected with us, for our old parents, for our children, etc. Social needs, it means that we want to communicate somehow, because every person is like a social enemy. Then esteem, it means that we'd like to have some result of our activity, to say, okay, I've done it, so to be proud about some result. And self-actualization, it means that it is better if we earn our money. This is the process we like. And it's some funny, some students say, okay, there are some other needs before our physiological needs. We need some power bank and Wi-Fi. It's a joke. Okay. And generally, the idea of Abraham Maslow was that it's not possible to motivate person. Okay, generally there is an order, but also it is not possible to motivate a person with secondary needs if the primary needs are not satisfied. And generally, the next idea of Abraham Maslow was that the self-actualization can never be fully satisfied. Therefore, the process of the need-motivating behavior never ends. We can provide the more interesting tasks for a person, and when we know something, we can like it more, and that is why we need more and more and more. And generally, if speaking about relevance in management, this theory is rather old, but nevertheless, the managers can use some parts of this theory to motivate subordinates. And usually we have, not usually, but in contemporary world, we have to use three upper needs, because in modern society, two basic needs of the pyramid usually are satisfied. And if speaking about social needs, we can allow some social interaction. So we have, if somebody are communicating, so we shouldn't stop it. Then we have to create a team spirit, because if there are some conflicts in the team, the performance of the team will be lower. We have to conduct some meetings. Believe me, it was rather strange for me, but some people like to take part in meetings because they found that it is fun. Then, if there are some informal working groups, we have to support it. Only one thing you have to keep in mind, that somebody can find that it is more important to work with colleagues, with peers, than to attain the objectives of the department. It is bad, but generally, if there are some informal working groups, okay, let it be. And you can provide some outside social activities just to let your subordinates to communicate out of the company. If about some esteem needs, you have to provide some challenging tasks, because it is more interesting to work at some difficult tasks. You have to provide some positive feedback on performance. You have to say, okay, your contribution really helped our company to get this result. You have to involve your subordinates into a decision-making process. You have to delegate some additional authority to use some resources of the company. You have to give some promotions to the workers, and you have to provide some additional training to increase the abilities of your subordinates. And if speaking about self-actualization, you have to understand what kind of tasks are more related with the nature of the subordinate, and you have to provide these very tasks to him or to her. And generally, there are a lot of scientists who say a lot against of Maslow theory. Is because this hierarchy not so strict. And generally, the problem is that what can motivate one person, another person can think about this reward has no valuability. But at the beginning of our today's lecture, I told you that we have to use contingency approach anyway. So we have to think about not about the best way of motivating, but we have to create the best approach of motivating for this very worker, for this very department, for this very business process, for this very situation. The second theory of motivating, content theory of motivating, was created by David McClelland, and he divided all the needs which should be satisfied during working process to power, achievement, and affiliation. Power is desire to influence others, and generally that is why people want to be in management, because management is the possibility to influence others. If speaking about achievement, it is pleasant to have some positive feedback after successful completion of some task. And if speaking about affiliation, it means that somebody can have some positive emotions to be a part of some group of people or to be a part of some company. And the third theory of motivating was created by Frederick Herzberg. He analyzed some people, and he asked what when you felt good about your job, and when you felt bad about your job. And he divided all the factors into two categories, into hidden factors and into motivators. And the main idea of the Frederick Herzberg was that hidden factors can only, when we are satisfying these hidden factors, we are just preventing dismotivation or dissatisfaction. And to motivate a person, we have to use motivators. Okay, an example. When you, let's think about the situation that you are looking for some position, and during the interview, this person say, okay, you will have your working place with personal computer, and our company will provide a personal computer for working purposes for you. And it will be possible to print some documents if you need it at your working place. And when it is winter, it is normal temperature in our office, it will be possible to work without your clothes. I'm joking, but you see, if you are looking at a position of a manager, it is obvious that your working place must be equipped with a personal computer. In winter, as far as you are looking at an office position, in winter, it must be comfortable temperature. And if it is not so, you will be dissatisfied. But if it is so, you will feel like, okay, it's normal. So it's not possible to motivate a person with a hidden factor. And to motivate the person, you have to provide some another rewards. The criticism of the Herzberg theory is similar to the Maslow mostly, and with the McLaren theory that everybody has different needs, and you see that okay, this is usually similar for everybody, but this part of motivators will differ from one person to another person. And also, there is no strong correlation between satisfaction and productivity. There is the example which I already said you, that a person may consider talking to coworkers more important than getting work done. And if we compare these theories, I mean, Maslow, Herzberg, and McClelland, we can find that there are a lot of similarities between them. Okay, if speaking about Maslow and Herzberg, primary needs in Maslow are hidden factors in Herzberg theory, mostly. And five theories, five upper levels of Maslow theory has a lot of connections with three type of needs in McClelland theories. And all upper needs in secondary needs in Maslow theory and needs in McClelland theory corresponding to the motivators in Herzberg model. But we have to move to the second step of motivating, and we have to discuss a very important fact that a manager should keep in mind not only valuability of a reward, but something else. And now we are going to discuss what it is going to be something else. The first theory is expectancy theory, created by Vroom. And he stated that when we are speaking about motivating, we have to think not only about valuability of reward, but also we have to think that not we, but the worker must be sure that if he invests the effort, he or she will get the performance, and if he or she shows the performance, he or she will be rewarded. So there are three connections, three interconnections, I would say: effort, performance, performance outcome, and balance of outcomes. Generally, the word balance came from chemistry, and please don't ask me why we decided to use this very word. In this situation, it is absolute synonym to valuability. If you don't like the word balance, you can use valuability of the reward. So the first, effort, performance. It means that the worker must be sure that theoretically it is possible to achieve the objective. to achieve the result. And you know, if the worker feels that it is theoretically impossible to attain the objective, I think he or she will think that it is better to do nothing. To do nothing. And in this situation, the motivation will decrease. I mean, in the situation that the when the target is unattainable, looks unattainable. The second is performance outcomes and expectancy. It means that everybody in your organization must be sure that finally reward will be provided. And you know that it is possible to cheat, but you know it is possible to cheat only one, because if a manager provided some reward and after successful completion of the task he decided not to provide this very reward, I think next time it's not possible to motivate everybody with a reward. And also if there is no this expectation, the motivation will decrease. And the last motivating factor is the relative valuability of the reward. It means that, okay, for example, you as a manager provided some training as a reward, but this worker has a baby, and first of all, this man or woman needs more money for this baby, and secondly, maybe she or he doesn't want to leave the city for a week, even for a week, to have this training, because you know it is there are a lot of tasks. So it is better to provide for this person some extra payment, but not a training, even if it is very interesting, and even if it is valuable for this person, but not in this very situation. And the formula is, according to the expectancy theory, is the following: that we have effort performance multiply to performance outcome multiply to valence or to valuability of a reward. And what is very important, that in this formula we have multiplication. And you know that if we have any part of this formula equal to 0, motivation will be also equal to 0. This is crucial. So if a person doesn't believe that theoretically it is possible to have this result, even if he has no doubts that the reward will be provided, and if the reward is valuable for him or her, he will not invest his or her effort into the working process. Or maybe he thinks that it is theoretically possible to do it, but last time some reward was provided, but promised but not provided. And okay, I think, okay, I think the probability to have this reward is 0. And even if he or she thinks that the reward is very valuable, he will do nothing. And And the third point, if theoretically it is possible to have this performance, to have this result, if the person has no doubts with the this fact that he will be provided or she will be provided, but if the reward is not available for him or her, as it was in my example about training, the motivating also will be equal to 0. And please pay attention to this formula. Where is all the content theories of the motivating? I will make a short pause. Okay. If you listen to my lecture, to the first part of my lecture, you answer that, okay, Pavlo, all the content theories of motivating, are here, because they thought only about the needs and the best way of satisfying all the needs. But people, I mean managers, have to think not only about the valuability of the reward and the best way how to satisfy need, but about some other factors. And the theories of modern theory of motivation, you should say that all the objectives must be attainable according to smart technology. All the plans must be realistic. If everything promised, it must be provided. And also we have to understand the needs of our employees. So this is like an outcome after expectancy theory. So the employee believes that effort will result performance. The employee believes that performance will produce the reward, and employee values the reward. But the next theory, equity theory of motivating, says, okay, this is the truth, but we have to add one more very important part to our motivation system. It's not enough. It's not enough. We can motivate our subordinates in this way, which looks really perfect. But if we provide different rewards for the same activities, our employees will compare the rewards and the effort, and if it's not equal, somebody will ask some better reward. For example, if there are two salesperson and if there are if they have salary, so okay, salesperson, maybe it is a bad example. Okay, if there are booking bookkeeping office, and there are two ladies, and the first lady is calculating the salary for departments A, B, and C, and another lady is calculating salary for X, Y, Z, and X, Y, Z, and if they have different salaries, if, for example, the salary of the second lady is less, this second lady thinks, okay, what is wrong with me? We are investing the same effort, and the task is practically the same. Why my salary is less? And the outcome of this situation is that the second person will reduce the effort or will find the way how to increase a reward. And generally, how to use this theory in management, there are two ways. The first way is that everything should be totally transparent, so everybody knows the salaries, but everybody knows that they are investing the same effort, or as it is common in many companies, a lot of companies are keeping all the salaries confidential. All the salaries confidential. Thank you for listening. I do hope that after today's lecture you got some valuable information for you which can be used in your future life. But what is the main point? That first of all, you have to understand that you have to provide something to your workers as a manager. And secondly, you have to understand that everybody has different needs, which can be satisfied with different rewards, and therefore you have to understand the personal characteristics of the worker, and only then you have to provide some reward to this person. And finally, you have to keep in mind that you have to think not about valuability of the reward, but about some other things. So you have to use the two last type of motivating: expectancy theory and equity theory. And please keep in mind that there are a lot of other motivating theories, but as far as our time is a little bit limited, so I decided to include these 5 into our lecture. Thank you for watching. See you. Bye-bye.